I have over a decade of experience in training and I've trained over 1,000 people. So if I was starting my fitness journey from scratch in 2026, this is what I would do. What is up guys, Simanga Michael Njapa here. Again, personal trainer and online coach. I help beginners acclimatize to exercise, build confidence, and get results. Today I want to talk about what I would do today if I was like my client or someone on the other side who doesn't know what I know, but wants to get in shape in 2026. There's so much information out there and it's super easy to get confused. And my clients themselves get confused, but thankfully they have me, and so I help clear some of that up for them. But for those of you who don't have me yet, I'm gonna clear some things up for you guys today. I'll give you guys 5 things, but the first thing you wanna do is not get married to a diet or a certain training style necessarily. So if you're someone who wants to lose weight, you don't wanna have that in your head of, especially if you're starting out and you've never really trained consistently for like about a year or so. You don't wanna start out with that mindset of, I'm someone who's trying to lose weight, or I'm someone who eats this way. You wanna start off by thinking, I'm going to be someone who trains. I'm gonna be someone who trains consistently. I'm gonna be someone who eats better or right. Reason being is because when you go into it with that hyperactive or hyper focused or hyper motivated state of mind, it only lasts for a certain amount of time. Eventually you're gonna crash. When things happen and things get hard, you're gonna crash, almost always. So you wanna go in it so you can be consistent. You wanna go in as someone who trains. Someone who trains 2 days a week, or they train 3 times a week. They don't just go 5 times a week or 6 times a week, which is a big mistake that I see a lot of beginners make. They go from doing absolutely nothing to shooting for the stars, and then before they know it, they crash. So don't be one of those. Don't be a statistic. Next, I would focus on training with intention. So here, again, like alluding to what we talked about earlier, I don't want you to focus on trying to be that person who's going from nothing to all in now and trying to train 5-6 days a week. Again, I want you to focus on 2-3 times a week that is consistent, full body workouts where you focus on basic movement patterns like a squatting pattern or a overhead pressing pattern or a rowing pattern or a vertical row or a hinging pattern, that kind of stuff. You focus on getting stronger and better at those kind of movements. You don't necessarily need more exercises. You need to do the exercises that are the best, better. So Ben Pakulski said this once where he was like, and maybe he heard it from someone else, but I heard it from him, so I'm gonna reference it that way. I heard Ben Pakulski say once, more is not better, better is better. Point number 3 is that you wanna fix your nutrition skills. Now what I mean by this is, and I intentionally put skills in there because skills is something that you can learn. So you can learn how to eat right for your body. You can learn how to do and have the right types of habits in and around food. So just to expand on this point, you wanna, instead of focusing on cutting out carbs and having super restrictive calorie deficits and stuff like that, you wanna make certain non-negotiables with yourself. You wanna have a certain amount of protein every day, every meal, that kind of thing. You wanna have a certain amount of water every day. You wanna be aware of your portion sizes so that even when you have the stuff in your plate, you eat according to your correct portion size. You don't wanna watch something while you eat because that might throw you off. You might get focused and hyper fixated on what you're watching and then end up throwing off your portion sizes and not eating and being aware while you eat. That in and of itself, and I've spoken about this in videos gone past, that in and of itself, eating and controlling your portions without even counting macros and calories and stuff, reduces people's intake by 10 to 15%, sometimes more. And that in and of itself will shed some weight over the coming weeks, months, and years even. Number 4 is that you want to measure the right wins. And what I mean by measure the right wins is you don't want to focus just on the scale. The scale is going to tell you part of the story, not the entire story. So if you focus on just the scale, what you'll find is the scale does this all the time. The scale does that. And you can't fixate on that too much, because what you need to, a more sustainable approach is to think about your strength. Think about your performance in the gym, how you feel in the gym, how you feel when you execute things, your energy levels, your confidence level, like how your clothes fit. Those are things that are way more important than just the scale. So the scale is not necessarily wrong, it's just that it doesn't tell the entire story. And that's where most people who are beginners, if they hyperfixate on that, because like I said, it does that, then their self-esteem does that. They go up and down, to a point where if they see it stagnating or staying at the same place, which is super normal, staying at the same place for too long, then they might end up quitting because they feel like what I'm doing is not working. Why try in the first place? Okay, last but certainly not least, I would get accountability. Whether it's a coach, whether it is a group of people who have a similar target as yourself, and again, who are guided in this 2026, in this coming 2026, by people who know what they're talking about, but not just know what they're talking about from textbooks, but have also trained lots and lots of average people. So if you're gonna get a coach, like I said, get a really good one who's coached a lot of people. If you're gonna be around people who are trying to do the similar thing that you're doing, because doing it alone rarely ever works. Doing anything that's supposed to be a challenge, where you're making a huge lifestyle change, or you're breaking addiction, or you're trying to cement a new habit, things are always better and easier when you're doing them in pairs or threes, or like in a group, you know, because especially if those people they're honest with themselves, they have compassion for each other. Iron sharpens iron. You know, you guys lift each other up. Days where you don't feel like doing the thing are coming. Almost always they are coming, and you need those kind of people to lift you up when you're weak, because you also lift them up when they're weak. Kind of like when you're in class, when you have a question, but you're kind of afraid of, if I ask this question, will people judge me? And someone else asked the same thing that you were thinking about, and then the whole time you're like, oh, that's exactly what it's literally the same thing when you have a group of people, because when you're going through a certain thing during your fat loss journey, you're like, the scale's not moving, even though we talked about not hyper fixating on the scale. Things are not moving in the right direction. What is happening? What's wrong with me? That type of thing. If someone else expresses a similar type of feeling, innately, not because you'll feel good that they're feeling that, but you'll feel like, okay, I'm not alone. This is normal. Other people go through this too. In closing, guys, focus on those 5 things. And if you're gonna start your fitness journey in 2026, don't make it any harder than it already needs to be. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the video. Let me know what else you'd like for me to cover on the channel. And I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy. Oh, and happy holidays.